Hello there. I'm Scotty. You are not. Why is all this thing like it tipped up? Um, we are now finally starting Pick 10 Horror 4 The Return. And we are starting with Stay Alive, movie from 2006, the year of my graduation from high school. I didn't watch this till later. You wonder why it's black and white. I got this from a friend of mine, and he had a black and white cover to it, so yeah. Simply put, I can tell you all that you need to know about this in this sentence here. If you die in a game, you die for real. So it's about a group of friends who find this game, and they start playing it, and when you die in a game, you die for real. And a simple premise that really starts to go downhill when you write smart characters but still have to keep the premise of the film going, so you cheat. This is probably the first time that the quality of something has gone down so much on a rewatch for a review on my channel. There's some times where we go down a little bit, but I never thought this was as bad as it was until you're watching it now. It was so bad, my power went out. Yeah, during the scene where October is getting killed, right in the middle of it, power went out, prompting me to yell out, "Mommy!" Because it, turned back on right away, but it was just very quick. I don't know why. It's not storming. It's not that hot out. It just, and interesting. Yeah, I'm with it at the beginning of this film, and then halfway through it takes a turn. Basically tells you that these characters are screwed. Now, this is produced by Hollywood Pictures, who are affiliated with Disney. It's a PG-13 horror film, which, I don't know, there are some decent PG-13 horror films out there. The Grudge, The Ring, Drag Me to Hell is fine. I still hate the ending. The Uninvited, I think, is a great PG-13 horror film. So there's some good PG-13 horror out there. I thought this was one of them. In fact, if I did a top 10, this would probably be in that. Probably in the 10 or 9 area, but now I'm not so sure. Like I said, they take the premise of this, that because they have to go by that premise to a certain point, they have to keep that premise going, even though that's not exactly what's happening. So, our main character is Hutch, played by John Foster. We are told he went through some trauma. We find out later in the film his parents died in a fire, where he's the only survivor, and so he was taken in by his friend Loomis's family. And yeah, that's where we start. Loomis and his roommates playing the game. They die in the game. He talks to Hutch, and then they die in real life, the way they died in the game. And I remember when I first watched this, I'm like, oh, it's Milo Ventimiglia. I love him in Heroes. Dies right away. I'm like, shit. Well, my favorite actor's gone. Well, I thought he was my favorite actor because turns out Jimmy Simpson saved the movie, his performance, till he dies. And his death is really the one thing that makes this thing go downhill, and it doesn't get any better from there. But anyway, so Loomis ends up dead, and at the funeral, his sister gives Hutch this, all his games, basically. He has a boss named Miller, played by Adam Goldberg. Not the Goldberg's Adam Goldberg, like the weird, wacky roommate from Friends guy, Adam Goldberg. He ain't gonna talk like this, But anyway, they're talking about video games, and it's clear that whoever wrote this movie knew nothing about video games. Talking about Silent Hill 4 and like nothing they're saying like has anything to do with Silent Hill 4. I don't think. But yeah, and so in the games they find Stay Alive, and now they decide to play it all together. So there are 5 of them playing off of one system, plus Miller playing from the office. How? This is not like now. This is 2006. I know the Xbox 360 and the PS3 were out by this point, but there's no way. Maybe even a Switch. Not Switch. Wii. But there's no way you'd be able to play. Like, they at the end, they show this for PS2. With Dreamcast controllers. I don't care. But there's no way they had the capability to have that many playing at the same time in 2006. There's just no way. Even with Xbox 360 or PS3, there's no way. It's just, don't think it works. And we're presented as if they're playing on a PC. Even that's even like less likely. I don't know. And Miller, and Goldberg's character Miller, he dies in the game. Dies the same way in real life, and this is where we get the cops. One played by Wendell. Is it in here? No. Wendell Pierce. You've seen in a lot of things, including Grease Live as Coach Calhoun, who was Jewish in the original Grease, but Man in Black. So that's fine. He was good in the role. He's fine. Anyway, yeah, and here he plays the cop who thinks that something's going on, which we're going to talk about that when we get to the ending, because this whole subplot with the cops just kind of goes away. But yeah, he kind of questions him, like, what do you mean, what's going on? I just talked to him a few hours ago. A few hours ago? What do you mean a few hours ago? Yeah, we were playing a game together, and then he died, and they start to realize they died in the same way they did in the game, and here was where we come to the confusion, okay? To the frustration, I should say. So you got Jimmy Simpson's character Phineas. He's playing the game. It was like he's about to die, but he shuts the game off. He's done, there. And so he goes out for a drive, and his car kind of shuts down. But then he gets back in the car and is driving, and then it shuts down again. And then he's run over by a carriage. But they make sure to bring up that he didn't die in the game. So he's safe, right? But he died anyway. And what really got me, I know he didn't die. They just said he didn't die in the game. How does he die? And then they get there, they see the body. I'm like, yeah, explain this. How does he die? He didn't die in the game. And it cuts to, they're in the back of a van. They got the piece of thing up. Oh, he died just like he died in the game. No, he didn't die in the game. He turned it off. So the game's cheating now. The game is now cheating because the writers said, oh, we said if you die in the game, you die for real. We can't have these characters dying if they don't die in the game first. So they had to write that the game plays itself to get their stupid ass premise of you die in the game, you die for real to work. Yeah. Bullshit. And it gets even more frustrating later. So upon this, there's even more, suspicion thrown on Hutch. He tries to explain to him what's going on. The cops don't believe him. Wendell takes him to the side, and his partner starts to mess with it. Even though they tell him don't do it, he's like, yeah. Starts doing it, and he dies right away in the game. And then we see him try to track out this game, going to like a GameStop place. And then he dies in the parking lot. And this is where I really question the logic of this cop. His partner's dead. Wendell's like, his partner's dead. So he immediately goes after Hutch, thinking he's the one behind it. This is why movie cops suck. Because movie cops can have no common sense. They have to jump to the first conclusion. I know cops in real life sometimes they have that thing where they have a suspect, they're going to go for it. But I feel like, especially played by an actor like Wendell here, a cop would think about it first. Oh, wait a minute. Hutch said that if you play the game and you die in the game, you die in real life. My partner died because he sucked at video games. Now he's dead. Maybe there's something to it. Nope. It's more like, oh, my partner's dead. Hutch did it. Because common sense got to be thrown out a window in horror movies, apparently. Now, 2000s admittedly wasn't the best time for horror films, but this is just stupidity. Like, I feel like even in an 80s film, if something like this happened with video games weren't that plausible, something like this, the cop would be more just even like in Freddy vs. Jason, it was a cop who had the common sense while everyone was telling him to shut up and that they were thinking it was Freddy Krueger. He was on the right track with Jason, even though it was both. But still, he had common sense. This cop jumps to conclusions right away. Oh, my partner's dead. Must be that guy that we're going after. And yeah, so they find the place where they're staying, which causes Swink, who is Frankie Muniz's character. I've got to introduce the other characters. We got Swink, played by Frankie Muniz, Abigail, played by Samara Armstrong, and October, played by Sophia Bush. Already the other ones. So Swink and October get out of there before the cops can get to him, and they meet up at some secret place. Meanwhile, Hutch and Abigail are investigating stuff themselves. And October's the one who brings up Elizabeth Bathory, who's the one in the game, and how there was like ghost stories about her and everything, and kind of the lore of Elizabeth Bathory and all that stuff. And so this is where it gets a little contrived for me, where it gets a little bit eye-rolling. So Swink goes out to meet the other two, and when they come in the house, they say the game is up, and that it's playing with October's character. And so they're like, where's October? And Swink says, she's out smoking. We have not seen this character smoke once during this film. There's only one scene that I noticed this time, and you really have to pay attention, is that at the funeral, she's holding a pack of cigarettes. We do not see her smoke otherwise, and I feel like they wrote this and they shot this scene first. We're like, wait a minute, we never hinted that she smoked. We're going to go shoot the funeral scenes, have her hold a pack of cigarettes in there to show that she did. Because we never see her smoke ever in this film. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a way to get her away from the rest of the characters and die. And the game cheats again because she wasn't playing, but it kills her anyway. And it gets worse. It gets worse. So she dies, and they can't get to her because they're pounding on a window. Go around, find a fucking door. Why are you just sitting there pounding? Woman, find another way in. You just, like, one open. Okay, you're gonna let her die then. Why? I don't know. By the way, if you think the cops are gonna come after this, nope. The cops will never come up again. That's a big issue for me because the cops just don't. The cops are done after chasing them away and they're never up again. So they decide to go to the game programmer's house, game creator's house, which just so happens to be a house in front of the plantation that's from the game. Yeah. This is the theatrical version. I know in the unrated version, they show the creator, but here they don't in the theatrical version. Anyway, so Swink is forced to play the game so that he can distract Elizabeth Bathory while the other two go into the plantation. Now, while there, they find the 3 nails that they need to kill Elizabeth Bathory with, and they get separated. Because of course they do. And Elizabeth Bathory starts coming after Swink in real life, despite the fact that he has not died in the game yet. But he runs and ends up in a bush of roses, but according to the game, he's dead. We know that roses deter spirits and everything from the games thing. In the game's mechanics, it's roses that deter spirits. It's roses that the ghost children, they go away. So like that. Like I said, Abigail and Hutch get separated, and Abigail is hung upside down. She's gonna get killed, like October did. But then Hutch nails Elizabeth Bathory, two in the hand, one in the head. It's over. It should be over, right? No, because this piece of shit plot just cannot end. It just cannot end because we've teased something early in the film, and this is when I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. This is over. And then when she came back, I'm like, well, how are they gonna deal with it? And then so she comes back. She pops up. There's a real cool shot where the nail comes out of her forehead and falls out. Not bad shot. Not bad shot at all. But what frustrated me is that he ends up setting her on fire. And that's when I realized, ow, that whole his parents died in a fire thing was foreshadowing for the climax of this film. And I forgot about the fire. And this is when Swink and Abigail burst through the door. Everything in the Swink is still alive because the roses, he got a whole bushel of roses. And he rescues Hutch and they leave. Now, something I don't understand is that they said the only way to kill her was to hammer the nails in her. And it didn't work. So now you're not even listening to your own fucking rules, movie. They say that's the only way to kill it, but they can't. Because we gotta call back to the fire. It just makes no sense. And then they walk off as if it's the end, it's over. And you could have ended there. And the only question I would have had is, wait, what happened to the cops chasing after them? Chasing after Hutch, thinking he was the killer? That went nowhere. But that would be my only question, my only problem. But no, movie. You had to go one step more, and we cut to that video game store that the cop went to earlier. And yet it's the same guy, and he's got a video game, and it's Stay Alive. There's a whole box of them. Somehow, there's more than one copy now. And put it in a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, with Dreamcast controllers. And yeah, it's going to start all over. It's going to keep going. And it just... And anything though, I feel like it does make sense that it's going to keep going. You may think, oh, boy, he was defeated. Sure. But you can say one of two things. One, she wasn't killed the way she was supposed to, although technically she was, but we gotta have the fire be the last thing so that Hutch can call back to his parents' death, you know. Or two, because every time you play the game, you say the incantation, you summon the evil spirit. So they can take care of her and destroy her, but if someone else plays the game, they just summon the spirit back over again. So it doesn't matter how many times you destroy the spirit. If they say the incantation, it's going to keep coming back. So the only way to stop it would be to destroy every single copy of the game, which somehow was not mass produced by the fact that it doesn't really make much sense. But yeah, this is the middle of the road. This is the middle of the road. It's frustrating, but it's entertainingly frustrating. You know, I think that Jimmy Simpson's the best part of this film. The acting is not that bad, but like just some of the plot elements, it's like they wrote this slogan: "You die in the game, you die for real," and so they had to keep doing that, even though Swink never died, although he did, I guess, in the game, which doesn't make sense to me, but you know, who knows? I don't know, but yeah, like I said, it went down for me. Before I would say it was pretty good, but not. Anyway, let's roll the dice. Now. 11 is not what we can do. Sorry. 8. So 8. Eight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give me something good. Mulligan. 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 I'm not ready to do that one yet. So let me reshuffle these. Okay? I'm still going to go for the number 8. If you don't need to re-roll the dice, we need to go 8, and that's this one. Okay, so let's try this one now. I wasn't ready. Darkness Falls. Okay, that's better. I wasn't ready to do the Night of the Killer Bears yet. Okay. Darkness Falls, I will do. So, what are your thoughts on Stay Alive? Leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.